How's it going, you sexy beasts? It's yet another very badass Friday, and you know what that means. The Fan-Picked Friday Challenge, where you and your delicious imagination throw together class setups with different combinations of attachments, weapon skills, and whatever else comes to mind to see how well I can do with it. Last week's episode was the Zombie Medic, created by White Sausage, which features the LA-39 Bruiser Heavy Pump Action Shotgun. If you would like to suggest a challenge for next week's episode, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below, and I'll choose one of the most upvoted comments for next week's Fan-Picked Friday Challenge. So for this week's challenge, I think I've had a bad case of the derps, or the noobs, since I was just doing rather awfully. I apologize in advance for the terrible gameplay, but the only fights I could get were biolab camps or tank zergs, which seems to be slowly killing Planetside. Anyway, for this week's episode, we've got HP McDoogle and his Crimson Guardian. He states, Faction, Terran Republic, Class, Combat Medic, Primary Weapon, T1S Cycler, Iron Sights, Smoke Launcher. Secondary Weapon, TS2 Inquisitor, Grenade Slot, Nanite Revive Grenade, Suit Slot, Grenade Bandolier, and Utility Slot, Medical Kit. The Crimson Guardian is a Terran soldier's last hope. Deployed by Terran High Command in small teams, these elite medics have one mission in mind: stabilize a failing defense and boost morale! With their trusted T1S Cycler and Nanite Revive Grenades, no soldier will be left to die on their watch, nor any foe left standing on their path to saving Araxis. Thanks for bringing in the badassery with this setup, HP McDoogle, as this backstory is pretty awesome. I had to skip on the aesthetics part since I'd be dumping another $20 into this loadout already, and I think I made do without it. I'm running with the Loyalty Camouflage, which looks nearly exactly as the Carbonation. Right from the get-go, I love the aesthetics of the T1S Cycler with a grenade launcher, and the iron sights look absolutely awesome, but don't function very well. I'll touch more on this later. Anyway, let's jump into the stats of the T1S Cycler for the Terran Republic. The Vonu Sovereignty and the New Conglomerate variants of this weapon are the Equinox VE2 and the Gauss Rifle S, respectively. This rifle is a slower firing version of the Stock Assault Rifle for the Combat Medic, but has nearly every attachment available to it, including underslung launchers. Each shot deals 143 damage maximum up to 10 meters and falls off to a minimum damage of 125 damage at 65 meters. It fires at a rate of 698 rounds per minute, has 40 rounds in the magazine and another 200 in the reserve. Short reload with the round still in the chamber is 2.7 seconds. A long reload with a completely empty magazine is 3.65 seconds. Vertical recoil pulls up at 0.3 degrees, has a 1.75 times first shot recoil multiplier, and equal horizontal drift to the left and right. Muzzle velocity of rounds fired move at a rate of 580 meters per second. Now, onto the Crimson Guardian itself. I think I had it burned into my brain that I was solely defensive, supportive medic class, since it seemed that's how I focused my gameplay. Thanks to the Revive Grenades and Grenade Bandolier, I think I've revived more people with this setup than I have in my entire time playing as medic. The Smoke Grenade Launcher is a pretty nifty idea to cover chokes or protect allies in either an offensive or defensive manner, but I feel like this setup is missing one big selling point that goes hand in hand with the Smoke Launcher: an infrared scope. Popping smoke on top of a bunch of friends, throwing a Revive Grenade and shooting through the smoke to any advancing enemies would have just been amazing. It also been amazing to get rid of those iron sights for this weapon, since the rear sight takes up so much screen real estate. There were far too many times that I would fall victim to an enemy at medium range, solely due to me losing track of them. As if that wasn't bad enough, but it just felt as if every heavy assault I came across would just utterly wreck the crap out of me. Like I said earlier, I might have just gone full retard and forgot how to Planetside, but unlike S variant for the New Conglomerate, I felt as if the Terran's T1S Cycler was just getting outgunned by nearly every other weapon on the field. My noobiness aside, the rest of the setup is just delicious. Since there are no offensive or defensive attachments or armor equipped, I had to play it very safe and stay along the outer edges of the battle in order to keep myself and my teammates alive. That was one fact I had to learn really quickly, since I normally run with Max Flak Armor or Nano-Weave and charge in head first to slaughter the crap out of my enemies. As a Crimson Guardian, adjusting gears to a supportive role made this an amazing experience point farmer. Throwing 3 revive grenades over a major battlefield will just rack up the points if you catch a good amount of fallen allies. This was also the first time I had ever used the Inquisitor in actual combat, and I quickly realized why that was. It's an absolute beast on paper. Who wouldn't want a 30-round secondary? That's awesome. It's like carrying another assault rifle in your pocket. But once you get into the thick of combat, the overall low damage output just makes it a turn-off, since pistols are usually whipped out in those oh shit scenarios. Until SOE allows us to put optics and more attachments on our secondary weapons, then I'd take the Repeater or the Commissioner over the Inquisitor any day. I'd also like to know why there's even a built-in rail on the Inquisitor if there's no current plans to allow us to put any of these range of attachments on pistols. Last but not least was the medical kit. For my Terran guy, I have restoration kits instead of medical kits, so I hope that was okay to use, Mr. McDoogle. But the decision behind it are far beyond my understanding. I'm playing as a medic that has very potent self-healing available, as well as revive grenades and a healing tool, so more self-healing just didn't make a lot of sense to me. In the current state of the game, C4 is by far the strongest choice for the utility slot due to how prevalent heavy tanks and max suits are. I had far too many deaths that I'm willing to admit, solely from maxes rounding a corner that I had absolutely zero chance of fighting. Overall, I had only used one of my restoration kits over a 5 or so hour gameplay session. Many more revive grenades were thrown though, sometimes even at my enemies. Even though I totally sucked it up this week and noobed ultra hard, this was a rather enjoyable fan-picked Friday challenge. Playing support in a first-person shooter is extremely fun, since you're not going straight for those awesome YOLO swag-tastic kill streaks for your montage. Couple the fact that Nanite revive grenades are overpowered as hell, and you're going to find yourself getting plenty of points in the field. Thank you so much for your Crimson Guardian challenge, HP McDoogle, and also happy birthday, man. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, please give it a big-ass thumbs up. If you'd like to make a suggestion for next week's episode, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below. Make sure to include any weapons, attachments, classes, faction abilities, or whatever else your sexy-ass mind can think of. Remember to upvote any other setups that make your pants tighter, or any other comment that just permeates an aura of badassery. I'll pick one of the most upvoted comments for next week's episode, and see if I can keep my KDR over 1.0. Hopefully, I can do that. So thank you so very much for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like these, go ahead and subscribe. It may or may not be free. I have absolutely no idea anymore.